be here, and you deserve a very, very warm welcome for making that sacrifice to be here with us this afternoon. A very special welcome to our dear friend Jose Ugaz, our distinguished and honored guest, who is here for a very, very short time in a very intense schedule. We're talking on the way from the airport. He's flying in from Panama after a number of very, very intensive engagements, and he would have loved to stay in Jamaica beyond Tuesday morning, especially when he was telling me he was told that when the chapters in the Americas, Transparency International chapters, were being hosted here in Jamaica, the hosting was not at the Pegasus Hotel in New Kingston, but it was at Runaway Bay, near to the beach, with fish and festival, and he regrets very much that that's not happening to him, but that means he'll be back soon again. So we look forward to having that visit very soon. Jose leaves on Tuesday, he flies back to Lima, Peru, and then he goes to Afghanistan, and after Afghanistan, he's going ta-dam. So he's more in the air than on the ground. So we're really, really very honored that he took that time out of his very, very busy schedule to be here with us in Jamaica. So please welcome him very specially. We want to welcome our dear partners over many years, partners to NIA. We're very happy to see Denise Herbal, who is the mission director for USAID, who have been with us from the very beginning. And we also are aware that Doug McCaffrey from Comet is here. And I'm looking to see whether my friend from DFID is here. He's not yet arrived, but I'm sure Daniel will be here soon as well. Friends and volunteers as well, we really appreciate your being with us. But most of all, you will permit me to give a very special welcome to the persons for whom this very brief ceremony is being held, and that is the new members of NIA. Appreciation, welcome, we're glad to have you. I dare say today is a milestone for each of you, a milestone for NIA, and ultimately a milestone for Jamaica. A milestone for each new member because today you take an important step in your life. You make a solemn commitment. You are saying, in the words of the Integrity Pledge on the membership card that you shall be receiving during this ceremony, I will not pay bribes. I will not seek bribes. I will work with others to campaign against corruption. You will see that on your personal membership card, the Integrity Pledge. You're entering a new stage in taking up a serious challenge to our people, and I would say to peoples everywhere in countries big and small, developed and not so developed, as Jose knows better than any of us in the world at this time. In the words of our Governor General, Jamaica's head of state, just a few days ago, it was Tuesday, a few days ago in the Office of the Contractor General's conference, and here I quote the GG, "Combating corruption is never easy, where the erosion of values and positive attitudes has created a fertile ground for criminal activity." It is not, the GG continued, new members, a stroll in the park. It is a long, tedious, tiring struggle through the mud. A long, tedious, tiring struggle through the mud. Our Governor General a few days ago. But there is perhaps no more struggle more important to Jamaica today than this struggle to build integrity, and therefore this must be a milestone for you. Your becoming members is also a milestone for NIA. Hitherto we have been an advocacy organization campaigning against corruption, seeking new legislation, and building public awareness. And we will be showing this afternoon some of the ads that we have been using over the years to help people to understand the different aspects of corruption in our country and how we need to build integrity. Our people, as you probably know, because you're here, they have appreciated our work. A Don Anderson poll, a survey, a national survey, done on our 3rd anniversary, just 3 years after we started, in November 2014, found that 23% of Jamaicans rated NIA's work as good or very good, and 59% found that we're doing an average job. But we need to do better. The Jamaican people are demanding more, not least of all because in a survey done a couple years ago, in fact in 2013, 77% say they want to join an anti-corruption organization. And that's well above the global average. It's about 53%. To respond to this desire and to build on our success so far, we took the decision to open ourselves to membership, to those willing to join the struggle for accountability and the effort to build integrity. You new members, your application, which have been approved by the board, are the first fruits of this decision. And we therefore extend a special welcome to you. You will not be the last, because we intend that every 3 or 4 months, a new batch of members will be coming into NIA. We also hope and expect that this step today, when the historians write about these years, shall mark a milestone for Jamaica in building a social movement for integrity. NIA alone, let us be clear, cannot be that movement. But we are and need to be among the pioneers, the core of that movement, a movement which needs to include diverse bodies. It needs to include bodies from the church, from the community-based organization, the youth clubs. It needs to include student bodies, professional associations, private sector benefactors, public officials, and indeed, let it be said, politicians of integrity. And there are some, and we need to value them because they have to stand against those who do not. So it has to be a diverse movement with all of those different elements participating. And only in this way we shall be able to engage the 77% and make the progress our country needs and our people deserve. As we welcome you today, we let you know that you have new rights and new duties as an NIA member. The right to receive full information and participate in all our activities. For example, tomorrow, National Integrity Action and the University of Technology are staging an anti-corruption event at the University of Technology. We expect that you shall attend and contribute to that function, and perhaps it will be the first occasion when you will wear your NIA shirts that you'll be getting later this afternoon. Very importantly, we shall, as far as our resources allow, be putting on training programs. For example, in communication techniques. And I'm looking straight at her. Faye Ellington is sitting in the front row, and we had very good experiences earlier as a communication extraordinary lecturer. Faye was very helpful in helping to train our staff, and I'm serving notice on her now that the young people sitting beside and behind her will be looking forward to similar training in communication techniques and how you may better carry the message of accountability, of transparency and integrity in relation to the issues of the day. For example, Riverton, how you better carry the message of accountability in relation to the issues of the day. You shall be getting, to the extent that our resources allow, training in social auditing, in how to monitor the spending of taxpayers' money, to commend the authorities where appropriate, and to criticize constructively where necessary. And let us not forget, you have an obligation to pay your membership dues. And I see everybody smiling happily because they welcome the fact that they have to pay their membership dues. It's a very tough time, we know, very, very tough time. But this is an obligation that your undertaking and that we're happy that you're willing to undertake even though times are tough. We well appreciate, but NIA has a big challenge, a very big challenge, which we shall have to meet more successfully in the days to come. That challenge is to build our membership base. But not only to build our membership base, but also to get more effective support from all sections of the Jamaican people, from all walks of life. We have to commend the support from our international partners, and we're glad to see that Daniel, our heroes from the DFID, has just arrived, and we thank him along with USAID for the support they've offered over the years. And we expect and hope that that support will continue. But, new members, ladies and gentlemen, we have to make sure that there's more significant financial contributions from the Jamaican people, from those who say and who genuinely believe that they want greater accountability and more integrity. We need to get more support from them. Your ideas and your initiatives in that regard, how to do this, will be very, very welcome. Let me conclude by pointing out one of the most encouraging aspects of this particular induction. 75% of our new members are under 30 years of age. And I think you need to clap yourself. And almost 80%, or it even looked like more than 80% to me, are female. And again, that needs to be commended. Of course, we are happy, let me not be misunderstood. We are happy for the older heads. We have to be happy. I have to be happy for the older heads. And we welcome more of them, and we welcome the males amongst us. But for so many young people, young women in particular, despite the burdens and challenges of the youth, the levels of frustration, so many wanting to leave Jamaica, for so many of you to come forward, to take up this challenge, is something that we are very, very proud and appreciative of. And I'm sure that this as well will be highly appreciated in the international movement against corruption. Just a few days ago, on March 9, in addressing the anti-corruption conference to which I referred earlier on, which the Office of the Contractor General put on with the support from NIA, the Governor General, Sir Patrick Allen, stated, and I want to remind us of his words. I believe, he said, that when Jamaica's leaders and followers unite in relenting action against corruption, they will hasten the attainment of our objective of social transformation and economic development and a fair, equitable, and just society. End of quotes. And I hope you share that belief, and I welcome you most warmly to NIA. I look forward to your contribution to that unrelenting action and to building that social movement on the basis of national unity. Thank you, and welcome once again.
We are now at that point on the program where we'll be having a few members coming up to give us just a short little word on why they became an NIA member. So let's start with Mr. Franz George.
Good evening, everybody. That's a very, very, very important question. Why did I become a member of NIA? Let me start first with my experience, my first experience of NIA. It was at a leadership workshop being held by UWI Leeds on campus. And I saw the documentary. When I saw the documentary, I was like, wow, blown away. And then, being the social sciences representative on the Guild at the time, I wanted to do a forum. And I was like, who should I partner with? What topic can I address to really have an impact on campus? And then the topic of corruption came to mind. Then I remembered, NIA from the workshop. And I said, perfect. So said, so done. The forum was a success, a major success. Prof was able to speak. Students were impacted. And then it sort of opened my eyes in terms of the need for there to be more work done on campus. And not just on campus with student leaders more so. And then the opportunity came again this year, and I said to myself, Franz, why not just join the movement? Why not get involved and help to continue make an impact? And I said to myself, there's only one thing to do, become a member. And that's what I did. And working with NIA so far has been so fulfilling, because I can look now at this room, I can see a lot of UE students, some who would have signed up at some of the forums that we had on campus. And I know that should we be able to continue this work, more students can be engaged, and we can really get the UE population and young people like ourselves interested in the core values of the NIA. Because at the end of the day, the UE would only get better, Jamaica would only get better, and the Caribbean would only get better. So I'm proud to become a member. No regrets at all.
Next up, we'll have Miss Emma Lewis. Now, she is very special because she transitioned from being a volunteer to a member.
Good afternoon, everyone. I've just got a few thoughts. I'm very excited. My main occupation really is writing. And so I started writing about NIA and corruption in general, because I think it's a huge national issue, and it's something that people talk about, but they kind of shy away from it. It's a big word, and people don't want to sort of get their heads around it. So how can we get the messages out is one of the things that sort of inspired me. How do we get the dialogue going, get people discussing what does corruption mean to them? So I started with that, and then what really truly inspired me was when Professor Munro invited me to a committee meeting, parliamentary joint select committee meeting, examining draft legislation on corruption. And listening to the discussion, I felt inspired. I thought this is really, really important work, and that Professor NIA's contribution is vital, absolutely crucial, I would say, in terms of providing a balanced social perspective. And I love the idea of it being a movement as well, because as you can tell, I'm one of the older heads that Professor Munro mentioned, but I still get very excited about advocacy, and so that's really how I see my role as an NIA member, is advocating, continuing to write. I write a blog, so I will be writing a lot more. And that is what I look forward to. And it's tremendous that there are so many young people joining, though. I think that's just wonderful. So thank you very much.
Next up, we have Mr. Jazeel Clark.
Greetings, everybody. Greetings, everybody. Indeed. Now, the question, of course, Franz said it earlier, is a very interesting one. Now, I mean, while standing here and even thinking about the question, the words of the current president of the United States comes to mind, Barack Obama, which is a change will not come if you wait for some other person or if you wait for some other time. We are the change that we seek. We are the change that we have been waiting for. I mean, the thought of corruption is a very pervasive one, especially in the society that we reside. This is not just a society thing. I believe that it is rather an international thing. And I mean, I am somebody who one day intend to be a great nation builder. And if it is that we love our country and want to see growth, if it is that one day we decide to take up a job, then we must be a part of NIA. And because, of course, that is indeed an intention of mine, I don't think there's a better place to be in but the National Integrity Action Movement. I mean, too often as a people, we stand busily at the side and we quarrel, we comment, we gossip. We talk about the problem oftentimes, but you see what we don't do is that we do not join the solution and in finding means and measures as to how we can nip it in the bud and to correct the problems that we have as a society. And so as somebody who is solution-oriented, I believe that a mean and a way how I can make the impact or impact overall is to be a part of the movement. And without further ado, that's the reason why I stand here firm and strong in not just being an NIA member, but an outstanding NIA member. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have a cultural item from Mr. Omar Melanin Ryan.
Greetings, my brother Richard Pasley and members of the head table and all that are seated. I must say it is an honor of mine to be participating in this forum, albeit as a performer, and not as a member of the NIA, because as a past student leader of the guild that I see some of you here vying for positions in these upcoming elections and other young leaders, it is important that we, as the young man said earlier, be the difference, be the change, and think of ourselves as governments in our own communities, in our home. So integrity is shown not just when we come out at functions like this and we speak about it. We, as individuals, we are integrity our own selves. So this one is called You Will Hear. What's You Will Hear, So here goes. My country, my people, politician, leader man, ruler woman, boss man, big woman. Too long, we're talking about this one. You and the corruption. Now it's time to do something serious about this one. From 1966, you give me a 9 for 6, a 6 for 9. Your political partisan award of contracts, of cornerman contacts. When I get paid, when I work, I get paid. Yes, we get all the money for fund your big election, spending on every corner, shop and bar. Your right-hand man is a so-called community don, who sets off the 13-year-old girl, mothered by Pam, left fatherless because of the same so-called community don. Yes, for too long, we are asked and not going to answer to a question. How comes there's not a business one or belonging to any big money making profession? Yet after only a few months of so-called representation, you are richer than your counterparts in developed, affluent nations. Yes, for too long, You having overrun on budgets, but no work to show. From the 1966 Da Costa Commission, politicians and friends don't grow. There's no transparency as to how them spend taxpayers' money. When community work I give out is on the certain people and certain corner, certain of the work. In the election time, a dead man named upon voters list. I say for too long, we are talk about and ask about, yet no integrity is shown. No accountability as to how monies are spent on liability you claim to be assets. NHT and outer many, traffic guru kickbacks, the Cuban light bulb project scandal. Must we go on having another after another? Since it's everyone's business, let's pay special attention to our youth. Support the NIA and let's not only build integrity ambassadors, but truth speakers and honest doers. Engage our communities further, strength to strength, getting stronger, increasing awareness. With everyone taking action, we must be a success. It's about national responsibility. This is our country. And we will demonstrate our maturity because we don't need no one else to come tell we. For too long. Leaders, important office holders, big man, big woman, from Westmoreland to Portland. Everyone, let's look into it. Jamaica, people we love, put some integrity in our national action. Integrity in our action. Give thanks.
Now, if you would turn your attention to the screen, we'll be showing you some ads of the NIA.
I have some bad news. The company didn't get the contract. Money we paid us for it has gone out. Are you serious? I'm afraid so, and I understand that there are going to be corruption charges.
Minister, please come with us, sir.
Breaking news. A senior politician and senior civil servant have been charged for corruption.
I'm going to tell them stay so.
Youth integrity, one love for all.
A message from NIA.
In Jamaica, there needs to be one law for all. Every member of this society.
Mommy, please, no, Mommy, please, no. I have a choice to be able to come.
Intimidation and abuse.
You can't pass us. Go back away now.
No freedom of movement. This is no way to live. Dismantle garrison politics now.
Sponsored by the National Integrity Action Limited, partnering with NIA.
In Jamaica, there needs to be one law for all. Every member of this society, regardless of profession, finances, or the area you live in.
I have some bad news.
The company didn't get the contract.
The money we paid us for it has gone out.
Are you serious?
I'm afraid so, and I understand that there are going to be corruption charges.
Minister, please come with us, sir.
Breaking news. A senior politician and senior civil servant have been charged for corruption.
I'm going to tell them stay so.
Youth integrity, one love for all.
A message from NIA.
Yes, I will find out, sir. I think you're going to win the next election. I just need to know how I will benefit.
See the Chris SUV then. I even get all of the government big contract them.
Them have to give. I ain't support them big time.
Don't know left to wait. That is stop. That make enough road, sir.
public make sure how much them give and stop the corruption.
3. End secret campaign financing now. Build integrity.
A message from the National Integrity Action Forum.
Pay your taxes so we can have a better education system.
Pay your taxes so we can have better health care.
Pay your taxes so we can be better equipped to protect your life and property.
Pay your taxes so we can get help and cut poverty.
Build integrity, end tax evasion, and develop Jamaica.
Sponsored by the National Integrity Action Limited.
So, we are back again having to bear yet another multi-billion-dollar tax burden from yet another government. And we want to hear what the youth have to say about this.
Well, you see, the youth have to pay, but we must deal with it differently from here on.
You should, because you will be the ones paying the $1.7 trillion debt for the rest of your lives.
We need to make sure that not 1 cent from the taxes we pay or the money we borrow goes into the wrong pockets. We have to have a say in what the money is doing, and whoever our taxes pay, work or pay it.
Accountability for those who lead us and for ourselves.
Yes, definitely.
Build integrity. Grow the economy. A message from NIA.
Yes, I will find out, sir. I think you're going to win the next election. I just...
Pay your taxes so we can have better health.
I never know it's billions of dollars owed in taxes. Enough money that some big business people and professionals now pay.
You know, Virgin, you know it's true. That billions of dollars they could have pay with it.
And free up the government so we can use better service and create more jobs.
You know, it's a work more.
Them could do better for education and training and fix the roads. They make everybody pay, even me and you.
And make sure the money not thief. I will not pay, charge them. Build integrity. Pay taxes.
Develop Jamaica.
Sponsored by National Integrity Action.
Thank you very much. Now, we have been working with a number of volunteers over the last 3 years. We have 2 special such persons here with us. They have worked extremely hard and extensively with the National Integrity Action to advance our values. First up, we'll be having Ms. Catherine Williams to give us just a little insight on her experience working with us as a volunteer.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think I'm a little too short for this mic. I want to firstly thank NIA for asking me to come and speak about my experience as a volunteer. NIA has always been quite encouraging, and I just want to thank them so much for this opportunity. I became a volunteer with NIA in February of 2013, and in truth, when I accepted an invitation to be a volunteer, I didn't know completely what NIA was about. I knew it was against corruption, which I was all for and was happy to join the cause, but I didn't really appreciate just the wide range of different areas that I would be involved in. And so I say this to say that my experience as a volunteer has been a truly unexpectedly rewarding and eye-opening experience. And I just can't thank them enough for giving me such an opportunity. I have done a wide range of things as a volunteer. I've done research work and just encouraged people to come out to different forums. I remember staying up late at night to do research on different areas, from bail to sentencing to fraud, things that I didn't even learn in school, but I was just so happy to do the research on and to prepare reports on, and it was such a great experience. And I think two of the most memorable experiences I've had, the first one being with Emma. going to the Joint Select Committee, the Parliamentary Joint Select Committee on the Integrity Commission Act, which was such a wonderful experience, just listening to the debate back and forth and looking and seeing your research in live form. And that was a great experience for me, as well as going to the advocacy training seminar that they had at Jamaica Grand. That was amazing, just to see lawyers in action. I'm a law student. Just to see people doing opening speeches and closing speeches and really getting into case analysis, that was such a rewarding experience for me, and I thank NIA for giving me that opportunity. So in light of those things, I say that my experience with NIA has been unexpectedly rewarding and eye-opening. I've been able to do so many things, and I thank NIA for the opportunities they've given me, and I hope to continue for months or years to come to work and volunteer with NIA, because I think it's such a good experience, especially for a student and for a young person, to truly challenge yourself and do something that you may not have been sure about in the beginning, but you can see it pay off in the end. So I thank NIA for that.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Next up, we'll be having Miss Gillian Watson.
Thank you, Richard, and good afternoon, everyone. I am from St. Elizabeth, and St. Elizabeth doesn't often receive the appearances and the patronage of NIA forums. It does receive it in many different forms in terms of volunteerism. But for NIA to actually be in St. Elizabeth as a space where I could attend was an experience for me that changed my perspective on many things. The first perspective it changed was how we are accountable for our own selves, as Professor Monroe keeps on mentioning. Accountability of self is key. And once we recognize the importance for that, we can then launch into our pursuit for changing the landscape for accountability and corruption in the wider nation. Now, this symposium that I'm speaking about in St. Elizabeth was at the Bethlehem Moravian College at their 75th Moravian Synod. And at this synod, there was a gathering of different institutions who shared their views and ideas on what corruption is and how corruption can be combated. And it was just amazing to see how many different views and perspectives there were, and also the way in which the panelists handled issues such as how can we make the judicial process more transparent and more effective, because that is something that needs to be worked on. The second encounter with NIA was after signing up, receiving information from them, an invitation from them to attend a workshop in Port Royal. And there we had a fleshing out of different issues and different areas and levels in society that corruption can be affected by and that we need to change the perspectives of. I was a part of a group called the Grassroots Group, and we were called the Nanny Group because we know that Nanny is the queen of culture and of self and beginnings in Jamaica. And we identified a few groups that need to be targeted as grassroots groups, and these groups included schools, high schools, institutions that persons don't normally think about when you're thinking about fighting corruption. We targeted these groups because, guess what? It all starts there, the institutions of learning, and particularly in the homes, and it goes out into our wider society, and this is what affects our daily operations and goings and comings. So it is because of participating, particularly in that Port Royal symposium, that workshop, that's motivated me to continue my work with the NIA. And since then, I've written articles to the Gleaner, one of which was featured about the EWI, the energy conglomerate which wanted to start an natural gas energy company in Jamaica. And I challenged their proposal, which did not follow all the criteria of being selected. And it was featured in the Gleaner, and I'm happy that person saw it fit to publish it because I find it a very touchy issue that many persons don't see it fit to look at areas in society which persons don't normally look for corruption. Another thing that struck me most was also the visit to Parliament, which I also, with Emma and Catherine, had gone to. And it was just very amazing to see the response of the politicians to the changes in laws, the proposed changes in laws for the Integrity Commission Acts, etc. For the most part, they were pretty adamant about divulging certain information, personal information. And ladies and gentlemen, you'd be surprised to see how many of them had grouses about divulging information. And it just goes to show how much work needs to be done to get them to be more compliant so that we can have transparency in government. And so that points to the need for campaign finance reform. And I'm just, as well as Catherine, very grateful to the NIA for the opportunities that they've given us to voice our concerns and ideas. And it is because of these activities and these seminars like these that we can go out and further motivate others to join initiatives that will start not only at the grassroots level, but continue to make a difference in other areas, particularly in the fundamental areas of governance, which will see prominent laws being changed and the entire society at large benefiting from a reduction in corruption. So once again, thank you NIA for inviting me, and I want to encourage everyone to encourage others to become a volunteer and members in the long run.
Thank you very much, Gillian. So I will assume that no one is sorry that they have signed up. Everyone is excited, just as our volunteers, right? Good. Now we are about to have the address from our guest, Mr. Jose Ugas, who is the head of Transparency International. But first, let me say, Jose Carlos Ugas, a criminal lawyer by training, has been active in the anti-corruption movement, serving in different positions. He was, in 2002, the first president of Poetica, TI's chapter in Peru, and in 2008 became an individual member of Transparency International. Ugas served as ad hoc state attorney of Peru in several corruption cases. During the Fujimori Montesinos affair, 2000 to 2002, his office opened more than 200 cases against 1,500 members of the Fujimori criminal network, the biggest corruption case in Peruvian history. Under his mandate, $205 million US in assets were frozen abroad and 75 million US were recovered. Jose Ugas was a member of the UN Peacekeeping Mission and the UN Election Observers Mission for El Salvador, and from 2004 to 2006 served at the World Bank's Institutional Integrity Office. He has been teaching criminal law at the Universidad Católica del Perú since 1986. Ugas was elected to be the TI board member in 2011 and elected chair in 2014. Mr. Jose Ugas.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Trevor Monroe, and the board and members of National Integrity Action for this invitation. When I was hearing your testimonies, I had a deja vu. I was remembering you brought me back from the years when I started my membership in Transparency International. And I've been 13 years around the movement. A year and a half ago, we celebrated our 20 years of existence. Transparency International was founded by Peter Eigen, a German former official of the World Bank. And now we are a big community. We are present in more than 100 countries. We have national chapters like NIA in all these countries, And of course, we have also a global action from our secretariat in Berlin. Transparency International is composed of thousands of people of different age, gender, race, different walks of life that have only one mission: to promote integrity and combat corruption. And we have been around the world for more than 20 years now. We have, I think, put in the top of the agenda the issue of corruption. Some years ago, for example, in 1996, it was expressly forbidden to mention the word corruption in the World Bank reports. And it is because the effort of international organizations like ours that we made it possible now to openly discuss about the impact of corruption around the world, to the point that the former president of the World Bank, Mr. Wolfenson, in 1996, opened a debate from the institution saying that corruption was a cancer that undermined development. So now we are many people dealing with this task of promoting integrity and fighting corruption. Some weeks ago, I was in Norway. I was invited as TI representative to a youth festival where more than 450 young people from all around the world had an entire week discussing about corruption and the consequences of corruption in the world. It was really impressive hearing all these young persons passionately debating about how can we better tackle this issue and how can they contribute to make a better world with less corruption. And this brings the question of why fighting corruption? Why is it important to fight corruption nowadays? I would say that the first answer that comes to my mind, I come from Peru. As you have heard, Peru is a poor country. Now we are considered a middle-income country, but we still have large portions of our population living under the line of poverty, especially in the rural areas. And I would say that part of this, a significant part of the reality of poverty in Peru and many of our countries has to do with corruption. So why dealing with corruption? First, if we live in a third world country, because we have the obligation of do something in order to reduce this affection of millions of our countrymen and women that are affected by a group of people that believe they deserve to take the money from the country to benefit themselves or the people around them. Corruption also needs to be fought because it undermines development. It is not only a moral issue, it has an impact on economy, and because of corruption, people has less education, no access to water, has no access to health, housing, etc. At the end, corruption is a tax that is paid by the poorest in our countries. And this, of course, has to do with democracy. This is a country with a large tradition of democracy, but corruption certainly erodes democracy and affects governance. Look what is happening in Brazil, a country in our region, huge country. Now there's a new situation of instability because the President Dilma Rousseff is questioned to be near, we don't know to what extent, involved in a huge scheme of corruption involving the petroleum company of Brazil. 37 high officials of the government linked to the political party of the president have been indicted in past days because of their involvement in this corruption situation regarding Petrobras. And this, of course, can affect the government. There are governments that have to step down because of corruption issues. In my country, an entire cabinet had to resign 5 years ago because one of their members was involved in a corrupt scheme. So this has to do with poverty, has to do with governance, has to do with democracy. And of course, also has to do with our future, as young countries that are aspiring to be developed and, of course, provide happiness to our people. When we celebrated our 20 years in Berlin a year and a half ago, we assessed the situation and arrived to a conclusion that many goals have been achieved during these years. Transparency International was probably the first organization of putting corruption in the top of the agenda and making it a global issue. We have contributed to the appearance of the Inter-American Anti-Corruption Convention, the United Nations Anti-Corruption Convention, and we provide several weapons and instruments to people who want to struggle against corruption. We produce every year the CPI, the Corruption Perception Index, where we rank the countries. This is worldwide known, and Transparency International has been mentioned in the past 15 years because of this product, where we can map where are the countries standing regarding their perception of corruption. But we also produce the Corruption Barometer. We produce the Bright Payers Index. We have every 2 years a huge conference with more than 1,200 attendees in different parts of the world to discuss our agenda on the challenges of corruption for the future. Now, more than 40 of our chapters have what we call ALACs. These are legal offices where we can challenge corrupt practices in our countries and help the people to organize themselves in order to struggle against corruption. 2 years ago, one of our members of our ALAC in Rwanda was killed because he was investigating a case of corruption in the police. So this is not a pacific work. I mean, we are going to face, and we are facing, and many of our people in the field are facing, of course, challenges because they are speaking loud, they are naming names, they are discovering corrupt practices. That's one of the reasons why Transparency International has today such a strong brand. If you talk about corruption in the world, immediately many of the people, journalists, and you will see it on the news, usually refer to our movement, because we've been consistent along these 20 years in the promotion of integrity and our fight against corruption. When I joined Transparency International 20 years ago, I did it because I thought it was a good thing to do in my country. And then I had the possibility to meet hundreds of other people like me around the world thinking the same and struggling even in much more tough and difficult and dangerous environments than what we were doing in Peru. TI has achieved many of the goals we proposed in the past years, but our assessment after 20 years of existence is that it is not enough. There's still too much corruption out there on the streets. And if we ask ourselves, is there, and we did it, we asked ourselves, are we now having more or less corruption than when we started our work? And probably the response is we have more. The question is, have we failed? I don't think so. I think we have achieved tremendous goals. Now we have a different challenge to confront, and that's why we nowadays are talking about grand corruption. We believe that the phenomenon we are confronting in these times is quite a different phenomenon from the one we had to confront 20 years ago. Organized crime, and you know that very well, because Jamaica, as Peru, and many other countries have been seriously impacted by organized crime, in its encounter with corruption, generates more devastating consequences than what corruption had done in the past. We are living a global world with a lot of technology. There is much more money in the market, and all these elements, together with organized crime, have enhanced this phenomenon to a new one that we now are trying to understand as grand corruption in order to try to adequate our struggle and our strategy to be successful in this new challenge. If we see what's happening in the region, we'll see a very difficult panorama. I'm coming from Panama. The former president of Panama that just left the government now is being investigated, proved that he has taken at least $1.2 billion from the public budget, and investigations are going on, and probably this number will scale up to $5 billion stolen by that government. If we see what's happening in Argentina, you will see that for many years, this government and the past ones, Menem and others, have been always in the middle of struggles, blaming the government of stealing money from the people. Brazil, I just mentioned the Petrobras scandal, but Brazil has been coming from one scandal to another. More than 12 ministers had to resign in the past 2 years because of corruption involvement. Venezuela, we don't have open information about what's happening in Venezuela, but we have enough indicators pointing that there are also big corrupt practices going on in this country. Chile, that has always been performing very well in our CPI, now is in the middle of a storm because the son of the president, Bachelet, has been caught in corrupt practices, and he had to resign to a public institution. Don't mention Peru. Tomorrow, my presentation will go through that case. Paraguay, Dominican Republic. I mean, most of our countries, if not all in the region, are seriously affected by corruption. And I think this is a huge challenge we have to confront as members of this region. That's why TI, Transparency International, decided to define a new strategy. Now, at the present moment, we have a task force that is working on our 2020 strategy, and in 2011, we defined a different move for our 2015 strategy. And we decided that we were going to prioritize our work in order to fight impunity, and we are working now. I will not go through the details because there's a lot of information there, but we have what we call the No Impunity Initiative. And our current struggle is to impede that the corrupt get away with it. And we are developing several campaigns regarding no impunity. But you will see in the near future that Transparency International is going to change a little bit the way we confront corruption. And probably we will be taking some direct action. We will be naming people and governments, and we will start campaigns in order to stop impunity. Our chapter in France, for example, took legal action in their country, and they froze 300 million euros in assets of President Obiang of Equatorial Guinea, who has been stealing money from his country for many years. And our chapter in Russia and our chapter in some other countries in the Balkans also are working directly in legal action. So no impunity will be one of our pillars for the new strategy. The other one is grand corruption. We are starting, and you will hear that in this year, a campaign in order to confront grand corruption. Now we understand that grand corruption, as I said, is a different phenomenon because not only involves huge amounts of money and power, but because it's having direct and serious impact in basic human rights. This, of course, implies a huge amount of effort. We believe this is a tremendous challenge. And this is for people with courage, people that not believe that they are losers, people that do not fear the size of the task, people that we understand are the moral reserve of our countries. And it's interesting, but when a country really apparently hits the bottom, and we believe that it has hit its worst situation of corruption, there's always a group, and usually young people, that are the moral reserve of the country, willing to change things. That's why a second pillar of our new strategy, no impunity is one, the other one is youth. We want to engage youth, and I feel really, really emotional now here, seeing all these young faces here of people that are willing to come to work with this anti-corruption community around the world. I just want to tell you that it is possible. It is not easy. Probably we will not see a total success in our efforts, but this is an effort that is worth to do for the future generations, for having better environments, for having less poor and vulnerable people affected in our country. So I want to welcome you warmly to Transparency International. I hope we will see each other more frequently, because I'm intending to come, as Trevor said, to Jamaica in other conditions. And I think that there are two reasons to celebrate this afternoon. The first reason are you, because you are now part of us, our family, our movement. And the second one is because National Integrity Action, finally, after complying with all the requirements of the movement, and there are not few, there's a lot of paperwork to do and a lot of effort to develop. Now NIA has become a full chapter of Transparency International. This is a reason to celebrate in the movement of Transparency International, because even though Jamaica was not a full chapter, we've been working very near. Trevor has been present in many of our actions, and believe me that Jamaica has always been, since you've been present in our activities, as one of the groups that we were very much willing to see as a full chapter, to take advantage of your effort and your youth and your capacity. So let's celebrate. I just want to welcome you to Transparency International, and thank you for your testimonies and your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ugas. And as you just heard, the NIA is now an official chapter of Transparency International. We're about to move to the next phase of the agenda, and that is the signing of the NIA-TI agreement. Now we'll be inviting the Mission Director for the USAID, Mrs. Denise Herbal, and Mr. Daniel Argos of DFID, UK. Thank you very much. I'm pleased to excuse the USAID Mission Director. She has another engagement to attend, so unfortunately she'll be leaving us now. Next on the program, we have a presentation to the guest speaker from our Deputy Director of Finance and Administration, Miss Mitzi Young.
Mr. Pasley, Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Martin Henry, our Chairman of the Board, of course our Executive Director, Professor Monroe, and of course our guest speaker, Mr. Ilgaz. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is with utmost gratitude that I stand here this afternoon to make this presentation to you. We are extremely grateful that you have accepted our invitation and that you've decided to become a part of NIA's formal induction as a TI chapter. And I also want to thank you for your participation in all of our activities that we have planned for today and of course tomorrow. We were told that he is, we don't have to worry about him keeping up with us. We should worry about keeping up with him. So we thank you. We just want to say from NIA, thank you so much for the very, very far journey that you have come, and we appreciate you, and thank you so much.
I'm taking over the chair. There's a slight change in the program in that our newly elected chairman of the board, Martin Henry, has to leave early. So he wants to say just a very few words before we make the presentations to each of our new members of NIA. Martin, please.
Thank you, Trevor. I'm so sorry I have to skip out ahead of the scheduled time, but we had our wires a little crossed about the terminal time for this function. So good afternoon, colleagues in the anti-corruption movement, those to be inducted and those who are already inducted like myself. I think this is a historic occasion on a Sunday afternoon gathered here at the Pegasus. Let me join in welcoming Ose Ugaz from somewhere around the world, headquartered in Berlin. We welcome you to Jamaica, and we are very heart-warmed by the delivery you have made about the struggles against corruption in countries other than our own. And to those who are going to be inducted this evening, I want to welcome you into the family and the work of the National Integrity Action. My own word of thanks to our supporting partners, USAID and DFID. For the last 3 years, you have been solidly behind this program of work, and I think the advertisements have indicated a measure of the activities we have been undertaking and the successes achieved. There is so much more to be done. We agree, Ose, that Jamaica, like the rest of the world, we're merely scratching at the surface at this time, and sometimes the mountain looks rather large, but we have to keep up this struggle to ensure that the benefits of reducing corruption can be reaped by all citizens of Jamaica and the other countries which are involved in this matter. Let me thank you on behalf of the NIA for joining us this evening. I'm sorry I can't stay through until the very end. Welcome again to the inductees and those who are the volunteers in the movement. Just to underscore that Jose is here not just for the induction ceremony, but to speak at UTEC tomorrow. UTEC mounting a major anti-corruption summit, and I'm very happy to be connected to both organizations, NIA and the University of Technology. So once again, I thank you for being here this afternoon. It has been a good and pleasant and very rewarding gathering, and I look forward to NIA having far more successes in the future than it has in the past. Thank you.
So we are coming to the end of the program, but we're getting to the exciting part. This is where we'll be inducting our members, and you will be getting your shirts that Prof spoke about and your ID cards. Let us invite Mr. Jose Ugas. He will be presenting package to our members, whilst the goodly professor will be presenting the ID cards. First up, we have Miss Emma Lewis. Next, Miss Chantal Braham. Mr. Jazeel Clark. Miss Cherise Campbell. Miss Shaqueen Jowry. Mr. Danai Sibbles. Miss Shanice Harrison. Miss Kadian Vassell. Mr. Bruce Lee Powell. Miss Codisha Rumble. Mr. Akeem Quest. Miss Shanice Gentles. Miss Mara Mullins. Miss Simone Bennett. Miss Samantha Davison. Samantha? Not here. Miss Shireen Bryan. Miss Chanel Gordon. Miss Patricia Morgan. Miss Tika Shea Nelson. Miss Tina Renier. Miss Shade Palmer. Miss Camille Ferraro. Mr. Dane Warren. Mr. Jordan McDonald. Mr. Sheldon Henry. Miss Chantal Garrix, my bad. Miss Tanzia Saunders. Mr. Robert Warmington. Miss Latoya Nugent. Mr. Stephen Gardner. Mr. Dinian Scully. Mr. Franz George. Mr. Jason Champagne. Mr. George Bryan, Jermaine Bryan, excuse me. Mr. Michael Irvin. Mr. Dominic Edwards. Miss Shakira Ellis. Miss Tashi Mills. Miss Tishana Anderson. Not here. Miss Tonian Richards. Miss Monique Blake. And Miss Lisa Jones. Miss Kathy Ann Bell. Thank you very much. That is it, sir. We are now at the end of the ceremony, and we are about to be refreshed. Yes. So that's it. All right. So it was a pleasure, definitely having you all here. We definitely know that the NIA is growing stronger. We have acknowledged that there's a need for this membership social movement, and we definitely are looking forward to building and growing with the members, the volunteers. We are looking for more of our volunteers to transition into members as well. And I'd like to say thank you all for turning out, and refreshments are on the house.